What's going on, guys? Before anybody panics, yes, don't worry. Whiteboard Claire is here. She will never leave you. She will always be by your side. And she's here to protect you no matter what. So, whether or not you see her in the video, don't worry, Whiteboard Claire is here. Also, I'm hoping that this video setup kind of works better than the last one because I figured I'd have myself on camera to do this, but since I have this lovely Blue Yeti microphone now, I don't really want to revert back to using my video camera recording system because the audio is just freaking horrible. So, a little bit of a different setup from when I used to do these, when I used to do the volume by volume manga reviews, something I haven't done in a while, and I was saying that maybe I'll do it for Claymore depending on how many views the last video got, because that's kind of really the deciding factor in it all, because like I said in the last video, YouTube punishes you if your video doesn't do well, doesn't catch in the algorithm, then it's kind of hopeless to think other videos with similar tags, similar themes are going to do as well. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you guys so much for giving that video a decent amount of views. It got like 5 or 6K or something like that, which is pretty good for my non-Berserk videos, so thank you guys a lot. I really do appreciate it, and you showed me in the comments and with the views that yes, you would like me to review Claymore volume by volume, so I'm going to agree to that and do it for you guys as long as the videos don't start to all of a sudden tank out of nowhere. It has been a while since I've reviewed a manga like this in this format though, and also while reading volume 2 of Claymore, I found that it did read pretty much as fast as volume 1 did, so I'm thinking moving forward after this video, I might do multiple volumes in a review depending on how they go. I'm assuming that as I get further in the series, you know, we might have a little bit more going on with the stories so that it might take a little bit longer to review them, but as of volume 1 and volume 2, actually pretty quick reads. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, I'm just saying for a review standpoint, maybe I'll start adding in a few more volumes. This will be good. This is a manga I can sort of read casually with you guys and come back to you volume by volume and kind of talk about what's going on. And it seems like we have a lot of hardcore Claymore fans that are subscribed to the channel, so I appreciate that, guys. And if I'm getting new ones as these videos go up, hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Ryan. I talk about manga, movies, and a bunch of other shit. There's something else I wanted to mention too before starting this video, but I can't quite remember. Maybe it's just like the pacing. So I'm going to try to do Claymore, this series. It's 27 volumes I looked into. I think around 27 volumes. So I was thinking as long as the videos continue to do well, because they continue to do well in the algorithm and with the views and stuff. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment to help me out. Maybe I'll try to do these weekly if I can. Not necessarily on a particular date because it depends on when I have time to fit it in. But that way, every single week I'll be reviewing a Claymore volume, and if I do that, that'll take me up to about like February of next year before I finish it, actually. But if I do multiple volumes, maybe sooner than that. But I think the cool thing would be like to treat it like you're watching an episode of an anime or a new episode of something, so that every week you come back with something new to talk about, and you guys can go through my journey with me. So let me know if that format sounds like something you would enjoy, and we'll continue doing it that way. So without any further ado, volume 2 of Claymore. While reading this volume, I actually think I have started to like the series a little bit more, and I think that's mostly because I'm getting more used to the characters of Claire, who's a very stoic internal character with a lot of things sort of going on within her, knowing pretty much the tragedy of, I liked what they explained that Claymore was, basically this person that's infected with the Yoma blood and flesh, and so eventually the Yoma is going to take over their body, so they know that it's an inevitable curse that eventually that they're going to die, and they're going to have to send out for another Claymore to take them out. So it's sort of this like lonely wanderer tragic story where you get this enhanced ability to help fight against evil, but at the expense of yourself, the expense of your own body and the ability to have a normal life. So this is why she segregates herself, and this is why she stays away from people and connections and stuff, and pretty much she's just that she's that wandering swordsman that goes from town to town to defeat the Yoma, which I think was a pretty cool concept. Adding in the child character, which again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Rocky. Is it Raki or Rocky? Somebody please correct me, because I don't want to go through this entire video series pronouncing his name wrong. I already did that with Gantz with Rika that people keep giving me shit about forever, so like I want to get the name right at the beginning before it gets too locked in my brain. I'll never be able to change it. But she did lose her family, and he has lost his as well, so as he's sort of trying to follow her around and connect with her, and he looks up to her and values her. He sees her very much like an older sibling type character. I believe he had an older brother in the first volume, but even so, even though it's a girl as opposed to a boy, it's still that feeling of that older, nurturing, guiding force that you would get in like an older sibling. And I definitely get more of a sibling vibe than I do like a parental vibe, because Claire is not really, she's not parental other than the fact that she's protective. perspective. But then again, that's still a sibling thing. She's not sort of giving guidance, and she's not sort of learning, providing lessons or scolding or anything like that. She's sort of essentially using Raki in order to kind of help her do what she needs to do in this volume. But she does sort of provide that thing that you would look up to in an older sibling. I'm an only child, so I don't necessarily have this in my own life, but I know how it's been with people I know that have had siblings, and just typical sibling dynamics that you see in stories is that the younger sibling tends to look up to the older sibling because the older sibling has gone through more experiences and sort of has that edge to them. They're not necessarily obeying all the rules that the younger sibling has to go by. They're more independent. They're more outgoing on their own. And Claire, of course, is this character that can do so many amazing, fantastical things physically, but she also has a lot of intense trauma and baggage to go along with it. So she's got this air of experience and sort of a mystery surrounding her that is very, very intriguing to the younger, more childlike character with Raki. So I think that dynamic is working very well. In this volume, she definitely uses that to her advantage to go into this town, masquerade as literal sister and brother so that she can get a hotel room and look for the new Yoma that's within this current town that's actually taking place within a church. There's also an interesting thing that happens in the first chapter of this volume where the one that goes and picks up the cash and everything after the Claymore has done its business with the Yoma, now he's the one sort of giving her missions to begin with. I still don't know what this character is all about. I'm assuming he has something to do with the process of infecting a human being with the Yoma blood in order to give them their power up, which again, the last volume we learned can only be male or only be female. So I'm very curious what happens when you try to infect a male. I wonder if there's too much of a testosterone rage boost or something that happens and they're completely uncontrollable. That's my assumption as of right now. But I have no idea. So I'm very curious about that. But he also provides her with these pills that suppress the Yoma side of her in order to change her eyes so that she looks more human and, she wouldn't be able to, people wouldn't be able to sense it as much within her. My question about that is, if this pill or this magical item or whatever it is exists in order to be able to suppress the Yoma abilities, is there a more potent version of that could perhaps eliminate the Yoma abilities? Or is this literally just putting ibuprofen in your body where it suppresses the symptom but not the cause? I don't know. I just thought it was very strange that this thing existed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like Claire wasn't really aware that this existed, or maybe it's something she hasn't used in a long time. So I don't know. This thing makes me very curious about how the process of how the lore works with infecting somebody with a Yoma. So it's okay, so it can only be female. There's things that suppress it, but there's nothing to stop it entirely from eventually taking over the body. So I need to know more about the lore in order to fully understand what's happening here with her and her body and how it works and everything. There's a lot of things I want to know about Claire's body, but that's another story. So I do like flipping the script here where the Yoma is infecting a character that is within this church, within this cathedral. Now you're dealing with this sort of medieval setting, and we haven't really gone into, at least as far as volume 2 is concerned, we haven't really gone into what the religion is or how oppressive it is or how looked up to it is. In Berserk, for example, the Holy See is basically sort of this not even really that exaggerated version of the Roman Catholic Church and how it sort of rules over everything. It is a very important thing, and heresy is taken very seriously. Whereas in Claymore, I'm not exactly sure how seriously it's taken. I'm not exactly sure how tied in the church is to, how the government works or how the kingdoms work and everything. So I don't really know how important it is, but I did like the idea that there was a demon sort of infesting within this church-like environment, which I thought was cool. A couple of the characters within the church, the main priest himself, he was okay. He seemed like actually a pretty calm dude. That's another thing that leads me to believe that maybe the religion in Claymore is not as oppressive as it is in a lot of medieval stories, is that most of the characters that seemed to work at this church seemed pretty reasonable. I mean, even the knight characters, there's 2 knight guards, and they're very aggressive against Claire, but it's for a reason. It's because they know that she's infected with the Yoma, so I don't think that that's because of their religion, and I don't think that's because of any particular hatred for her specifically. It's just literally in their mind, they're fighting for good, and this creature is a creature of darkness. Even though she's part human, it's still, they don't like it, they don't trust it. And that makes sense. I mean, I could understand characters being brought up in that environment to be distrustful of claymores. Like, it makes sense. And I'm not saying it's right. I mean, it's still, like, prejudice in its own way, but it makes sense. So, like, I wouldn't consider those characters being assholes as in they're just assholes and that's all they are. No, it makes sense. It's like you're working for a church, you're a human, and now all of a sudden this weird creature is coming in trying to do her thing. Nah, it's not going to fly. So, like, I totally get that, and I don't really have a problem with those characters per se. Simply, I mean, obviously I'm on Claire's side because she's the protagonist and that's what I'm reading, but I don't really mind how they reacted to her because that makes sense, and it also just creates more drama for the story with people not liking her for what she is, and it works great, it works fine. The other thing that I loved was the Yoma in this volume in particular, because I like how I said in the first volume review that they kind of remind me more of vampires than they do anything else, and this one is really no different because, again, we got the church setting, and we also got the Yoma posing not as a person working in the church, but as a corpse. And that just felt so vampiric to me. The way that it rises from the coffin and everything, and the way that it looked within the shadows. And, like, they just totally feel like vampires to me more than anything else. That might change as time goes on. Even the same thing with Claire being infected and being, like, on that fine line between good and evil. Just, like, again, just kind of feels like a vampire. But yeah, the battle was great. Claire fights the Yoma a couple of times. Unfortunately, this volume ends within the middle of the fight, so I don't have the conclusion yet. And I was going to read Volume 3 today. I read Volume 2 yesterday, but I was going to read Volume 3 today and do them both together, but I figured I would save that for another time just to make sure I have time to do the review and to let you guys know that I'm going to be doing these reviews moving forward. So, yeah, Volume 2 is pretty straightforward. It was pretty much, Claire goes to a new town and goes on the new mission. We find this Yoma in the church, and, like, that's pretty much what this volume was. So, again, we're still just getting into the groove of Claymore, but I do really like the lore that's building. I just have a lot of questions about the specifics of how this Yoma infection works. I still need to figure that out, and hopefully as the story goes on, we'll learn more about that. We'll learn more about the guy that gives her missions, and I would like to see some more characters be introduced because I like Claire. I'm down with her. Raki is what it is. He serves his purpose in the story. I'm sure he'll grow on me more as I read it. As of right now, he's kind of just like meh. I don't know if these two knight characters are going to become main characters at all. If they do, I mean, that's fine. I'm sure there's something the story can do with them. But I would like to see more characters join the roster of the main group. 27 volumes isn't short, but it's not particularly long either. So we're already 2 in, and we haven't created an ensemble yet. So I'm wondering how long it'll take before that happens. I'm wondering how long it will take before Claire's demonic nature starts to take over, and if there's going to be some sort of tragedy with her death and stuff like that, if that happens, if that's a part of the story at all. Or if there's a cure, again, these weird, like, stone, or these weird pills or whatever it is that she's given, I wonder if that has anything to do with, fully, is there a cure out there that is just not being made aware to the Claymores? I don't know. But yeah, guys, I liked Volume 2, and I'm excited to get through more of this. So let me know what you think about Volume 2 and everything going on in it down below in the comments. Like I said, I would love to start reviewing this, volume by volume, maybe 1 a week or 2 a week or something like that if I can get through it. But again, in order to do that, and I'm not just saying this because, like, oh, like and share the video so I get more ad revenue. No, I mean, I don't. From like a 5K view video, you don't make that much ad revenue. I'm just throwing that out there. You need to start getting the double or, like, triple digits if you actually start wanting to make a lot of money from one video in particular. All I'm saying is that, like, if the video does poorly, the algorithm suppresses it. So if you try to do more videos, it's not going to promote them. People are not going to see them. So it's sort of like if you're going on an upward slope, you go up. You go on a downward slope, you go down. It's stuff you try. I'm trying to figure it out more and more how it works. The more YouTube becomes a more serious outlet for me. But anyways, guys, that all doesn't matter. What matters is, what do you guys think of Claymore? Please let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, like the video, subscribe if you want to stick around and see more content. Also, all my various social media links where you can follow me are down below. And one more time, just to give you a kiss goodnight, here is Whiteboard Claire again. She loves you, and she'll never betray you. All right, guys, take it easy.